Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff to talk about. So let's get straight to it. We'll be joined by JC in the first portion of the program. Second portion, we'll have Scott Carter breaking down what's going on in the Gator Nation on spring sports. And got to give a shout out to Mouse Holloway. They win their 10th national championship. Women's track and field. Congratulations to them on a tremendous year. But let's go to the Titan More Hotline. We're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, QB?
I'm doing good, man. Like to talk about. I'm gonna go through it real quick here. Baseball wins 2 out of 3 against Seton Hall. They play FSU here tomorrow at 6. Softball series is tied with Mississippi State. They're struggling at the plate right now. They go to try to win the series tonight at 7 o'clock. I believe that game's on TV. And as I mentioned, the women's track and field wins your national title. And obviously, Gators are looking for a new basketball coach. I know a lot of people have mixed emotions on that. I will say this. People can forget about Billy Donovan coming back. They can forget about Rick Pitino coming here to coach. There's no way in hell that would ever happen. I told somebody the other day, you got a better chance of winning the lottery than Rick Pitino coaching the Florida Gators. Would you agree with that?
I haven't talked to Rick Pitino.
But he's got – okay, so the motto of Gator sports is winning championships with integrity. Okay? Well, that eliminates Rick Pitino immediately.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, if you put it like that, certainly. Look, I mean, I think half the Gator Nation understands that Mike White probably wasn't, for whatever reason, happy here. But I think the other half of Gator Nation is pretty darn happy that they can get a new coach in here. It just depends on what your perspective is and what you expect out of Florida basketball. And to me, you know, he had some good times and he had some bad ones. It was kind of a hard coin flip for me. He's 3 years in a row, he's failed to win 20 games, and his best season wasn't since 2016, 2017 when he went to the Elite Eight. But, you know, you can make a case either way. Now, what I'm curious about is why Georgia? And, you know, maybe it's because Mississippi didn't offer him or call him. But why Georgia?
Well, they decided not to fire Kermit Davis.
Well, okay, fair enough. So then why Georgia? And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just it was too good of an opportunity in his mind to pass on a program that is, you know, so that has so much potential because of the state that they play in. But last time I checked, Florida's got just as many basketball players than Georgia should, I would think. So I don't know. Maybe it's just easier there. It would be easier for him to win there in his mind. Or maybe he's just said, you know, Gainesville was fun, but it's time to pack it up and try something new. So whatever the case may be, the Gator fans have to look forward to a new coach, whether they're happy or not. And I think it's about a 50-50 split.
And here's the thing is, my question is, Gator fans, I think, are going to be they're I don't believe, you know, in football you get these splash hires. You're not going to get a big name basketball coach. You know, Scott Drew's name's being thrown out there. I don't think we don't have enough money to get Scott Drew. People don't realize how much money Baylor University has.
Yeah, private school.
So anyway, I know Georgia's been bad. I think it's a perfect fit for both people because Mike White has a great reputation among administrators, other coaches. Whether the Gator fans want to believe it or not, they think he's a really good coach. He runs a good program. He's going to do it the right way. Georgia's got a lot of issues coming down the pipeline with some of the issues Tom Crean had, violations. Mike White can clean all that up. And all he has to do is win 2 SEC games next year, and he's improved. So I think it's a win-win. I do know that they were not going to fire him. I do know that. And I do know that it got to the point where he's got 5 kids, and whether people want to believe it or not, kids sitting in class and talking about how bad your dad is, and it goes a long ways. And I don't blame him one bit for getting the hell out of here. And people can say, why did he not wait to get fired? I think it shows a lot about Mike White. He could have got fired and got paid like $8 million, was like his buyout. Mm-hmm. He probably is like, you know what? I don't care about the buyout. I'm going to take my family and we're going to go elsewhere. So that's just my personal opinion on the thing. Now, Gator Nation can be happy, but I mean, I don't know who you go hire. I would love for them to hire Doug McDermott from Creighton. No way in hell he leaves Creighton. But
Doug McDermott, man, they played really well in the Big East tournament.
Dude can coach, man.
Yeah, they did play well in the Big East tournament. I think this, moving on to bracketology, I think QB, what did you think of the show last night in the brackets? I mean, I kind of, there's always going to be that year where you're saying, well, why didn't this team, how could they leave out this team, or why did that team get in, and so forth. And I think for the most part, they did a pretty good job with these brackets, but I am just perplexed at how the Big Ten gets 9 teams in, the SEC gets 6. The Big Ten hasn't won a championship in 22 years, and one of the SEC teams that didn't make it with these two eyes could have probably beaten 90% of the Big Ten teams consistently if they had played. And I'm talking about Texas A&M. I am shocked that they didn't get in based on their play in the tournament, but it shows me that having an 8-game losing streak during the year and just getting hot in the tournament isn't necessarily the way into the tournament unless you win your conference tournament. And it shows also that on Sundays, I think the tournament committee pretty much has made up their mind before the games are played on Championship Sunday in many cases, because some championships are played on Saturday. But Tennessee winning the SEC did not do them any favors as it relates to a number. I don't think it's a big deal between 2 and 3 QB, but they were behind Kentucky and Auburn. They beat Kentucky twice. So I'm not quite sure I get that either. But for the most part, I think the tournament's going to be really exciting. I think it's set up pretty well.
Well, I think Calipari came out and said they need to play the SEC tournament championship game on Saturday because maybe, Texas A&M deserves to be in the tournament.
Oh, man.
And the chairman said they lost 8 straight games. Who gives a damn? They still had a really good record. They beat some really good teams. Michigan, in my opinion, has zero business being in the NCAA tournament.
Way overseeded. Way overseeded.
I have no idea how they were in the tournament, period. They shouldn't even be one of the play-in teams.
I just was shocked by that. I mean, Indiana ran them over, and Indiana's a playing team. Indiana right here, baby, got hot in the tournament, and it seemed to help them. But A&M gets hot in the tournament, and it doesn't seem to help them one iota. And I don't need Richmond and Davidson from that conference both in. Give me the champion there, because
that's Richmond, but Davidson's a very good team, and they wouldn't surprise me if they win their first game.
Well, sure, but who would you bet on, A&M or Davidson in a winner-take-all game?
That'd be a quick one. That'd be tough because Davidson is really good.
Well, I know who I'd bet on. And I think, I only say this because I watched this team, and so they impressed me, but I don't think anybody on the committee really cares. So, to me, listen, there's some things that are kind of picky that you can really, pick at with the brackets. But to me, the East and the in the South are the 2 tougher brackets when you look at from 1 to 15 or 16. So, I guess I'm okay with the rest of it. I just think that if the Sunday games don't matter, what's the point? I guess they matter. They would have mattered to Texas A&M, but you're asking a team to play 4 straight nights and beat these teams in the SEC that are as good as most any other as far as the top half of the conference goes. So A&M would have had to beat Auburn. They would have then had to beat who did they beat on Saturday? And then they would have had to beat Tennessee. So, wow, Arkansas. They beat Arkansas on Saturday. Man, come on. I guess that's just the way it worked out for them, but it's too bad.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Facebook Lives here I need to get to here. John says, brought to you by Mellon Law, what are your thoughts on Matt Mcmahon? He's the coach for Murray State. Yeah, his name's being thrown around, but again, he's a good basketball coach, but I don't think that's going to move the needle for Gator fans. They're going to be like, who the hell is that guy? Did you even know who that guy was, JC, when I just mentioned it?
Yeah, I did. And I know Murray State this, Murray State that. We won't be talking about Murray State by the end of the weekend next week. So I don't know. I mean, if that's what you want to do, Florida. But to me, how about the job the guy at Virginia Tech did? How about the job?
He's only been there 2 years. And talk about Virginia Tech. He came from Wofford. He was at Wofford for.
I mean, yeah.
We got a bunch of Facebook Lives I got to get to here. John says LSU's notice of allegations must have been serious for Wade to get fired before the tournament. Look, people forget. 3 years ago, I think, or maybe it was 2 years ago, Will Wade got suspended, I think, for the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament They had an interim coach. Once the season was over, they reinstated him, and he's coached for now another year and a half or 2 years. Now they're going to the tournament again with an interim coach. It's amazing to me that he continued coaching as long as he did. So there are three schools in the SEC looking for basketball coaches: Missouri, Florida, and LSU.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see if. Don't be surprised if LSU does not hire Scott Drew, because think about who did they just hire as their women's basketball coach? Do you know?
Yeah, the Kim Mulkey. So
Kim Mulkey from Baylor.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there seems to be some sort of a connection there for sure. And look at Dave Aranda. Who was he coaching before he went to Baylor, QB?
Say that one more time. I was reading the question.
Yeah. Look at Dave Aranda. I was just saying there's a connection between LSU and Baylor for some reason.
Yeah.
Dave Aranda goes to Baylor and look what he does. Hey, QB, how about your favorite coach coming down here from Vanderbilt, coaching the Gators?
Oh, I would love Jerry Stackhouse.
Well, I mean, why not give him a call?
I don't see that happening either. Andy says, Shane, any interest in a viewing party to watch your beloved Jackrabbits in Providence Thursday at 12:40? Please consider JC can come and do the Aggies cheer. Jackrabbits will beat Providence. Book it.
Like it?
Jackrabbits will beat the Providence Friars.
You're going to put that in as your big 13-4 upset there.
And I don't even know who they'll play the next week, but I think they'll win the next week. I haven't even looked at the bracket. By the way, we're going to have a bracket challenge for all our listeners. They were supposed to have the link. Let me text the guy and see if we can get the link sent over.
Yeah.
So everybody can go start filling. We'll have some prizes given away.
All right.
On that. Let me do this real quick.
Some Spurrier Gridiron Grill prizes, I bet.
I don't know where we'll have a little package we'll put together. Let's see here. Asa says, Shane, lead articles say Florida is after the Murray State coach because he's young, is up tempo and wins 25. Look, Mike White was up tempo at Louisiana Tech when he came in here. People don't know that, but he was an up tempo coach. He changed his philosophy, thinking you had to play defense. So Tom says the next basketball coach should be Anthony Grant. I don't see that happening either.
No.
I don't know. I mean, Anthony's done a tremendous job at Dayton, his alma mater. I don't see him leaving there. Here's the thing. Anthony Grant is about, I don't know if he's 50 yet. He's close. There's no pressure at Dayton. And I don't think people realize that coaches want to be competitive. They want to win, but they don't want to put up with some of the nonsense that you have to put up with at big schools that are unrealistic when it comes to basketball. That's just me. John says, QB, were you surprised at all when you heard about Tom Brady? No, I was not at all. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl, but he can come back and try.
Well, they're loaded again. I think they've got good players when they're healthy, and they're dangerous. I think Tom Brady decided that, you know something, I'm still healthy. I don't think sitting at the house with the kids is for me. And I'm sure there's much more that went into it, QB. But, I mean, why would you not want to play in Tampa if you're capable of playing in Tampa? I mean, would you rather go play in Green Bay or Buffalo or somewhere like that? No, play in Tampa. He can do it there. I mean, and I wasn't surprised at all. I think you and I both said when he retired that, folks, we might be hearing back from him after about, a couple of days at the house. So,
well, maybe he got tired of hanging around his wife.
Well, it's one of those things where, athletics defines who you become. And in many cases, and that's just the way it is with Tom Brady. He is defined by a lot of things, of course, but football is the one thing we all think about when it comes to Tom Brady. So that doesn't surprise me at all, as long as he's healthy enough to do it. And he'll be 44 next season. So God bless him.
Yeah, I keep getting these Facebook Lives about Rick Pitino. Folks, there's no way that's going to happen. There's no way. All right, we got a bunch of texts I got to get to here. Okay. This comes from Daryl. He says, good morning, guys. Mike White going to Georgia was a shock yesterday. Glad Big Blue Nation lost in the SEC tournament. Their fans think they invented basketball. They got a good fan base, though, Daryl. I will tell you that.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't at all surprised by Texas.
This comes from an anonymous text. It says, seriously, softball UF on TV is a joke. If I recall, Foley said we can make more money with our own TV network, but SEC network good for conference. This shows now with very limited softball coverage. I know you work for UF now, but this is I don't work for UF, whoever this is. Even though I call the games, I still don't work for UF. They don't pay me $1. What should we expect? We only paid Mike $20 million. Let's have all the teams in the NCAA basketball tournament. All right, I don't know what he's referring to as softball on TV is a joke. I mean, they have a ton of games. There was a ton of games on this week. I think the game's on tonight. So anyway.
We had a hole-in-one yesterday at TPCQ.
I saw that. Shane Lowry went nuts.
Yes, he did, and the place went nuts, and it was cold yesterday. I was up there, and I watched some of that, and unfortunately, there was a lot of dead time between the second and when they started the third round because they had to cut the field, of course, and then pair up everybody and then let them get out there and warm up. But, man, it was cold. But credit to Lahiri for playing the way he did. I think today's setting up for a really exciting finish. The course is dried up, so we're going to fish today, and then they'll be off to Tampa.
Real quick. Asa says Mike White was a very nice man, but I think he thought he was getting fired and took an opportunity that was offered him. Look, I know for a fact there were about 3 or 4 schools that were offering him jobs. He was not getting fired here. I want to make that point. He was not going to be fired. He had 1 more year for sure, but why not go where you don't have to worry about all the nonsense? Take your family, and Athens is a good place to live. And maybe he has issues there eventually. I don't know, but I think it's a good move for both schools.
Yeah, Florida wasn't stroking a check for that money. Not on a basketball coach. I agree with that. I don't know if he should have gotten that kind of money, but he did. So good for him. He's going to get $3 million up there at Georgia. Good for him. Again, I don't know if it's a 50-50 split or if it's more toward, finding a new coach or keeping him. But I think Mike White, given the situation, could do well, but I just don't see it at Georgia.
Well, here's the thing.
Always failed.
We don't. I mean, look, Bruce Pearl
for the most part
has done something with Auburn that nobody thought could be done. Now, Bruce Pearl is not squeaky clean like Mike White. I mean, we all know that. So there's a lot of issues at Auburn. So anyway,
really?
I think
there's a lot of issues at Auburn. You think there's a lot of issues at Auburn? Like, give me one issue at Auburn.
Everybody knows. Now, it hasn't come out public, but everybody knows that what Bruce Pearl has been doing is not legal, JC. Come on.
Well, I just hate it when you throw these aspersions out there like that.
No, it's a fact. I mean, you should know that.
Tell me what it is then. What's the fact?
Yeah, I mean, they've been paying players to come play at Auburn. It's no different than what they've been doing in Alabama, but nobody's been caught.
What player who got paid? Tell me. I mean, you just throw this crap out there like we're supposed to just say, "Oh, sure, that's the way it is." I don't
okay, so you think Bruce Pearl runs a clean program?
I think Bruce Pearl does great at Auburn.
He's a hell of a coach, but he does not run a clean program.
All right. Well, all right. You throw it out there then.
I throw it out there because I have a lot of people that are in the coaching profession that tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah. If Chuck Person was on his staff that got fired because of all the illegal crap.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so the head coach didn't know what Chuck Person was doing?
When he did, he got fired.
Well, he's a fall guy is what it was. Pearl was fired. He was fired from Tennessee for illegal shit.
Well, come on. What, having a barbecue in the backyard?
No, JC. Okay, I want you to go do your research on Bruce Pearl.
Well, why don't you tell us all? Fill us in. What did he do?
Because everybody on here is talking about it. Paying players is what Bruce did. Chuck Person fell on the knife for him. I mean, it's a fact. Look, the guy can coach basketball. There's no argument there. But he does not run a clean program.
So we've got a team that's about to go represent the SEC that's dirty.
They talked about that when he went to the Final Four a few years ago.
Oh, they did? They said that this is a dirty coach. Why is he coaching?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Look, I'm not going to argue with you about him being a good coach or not running a clean program. It's a fact.
But I know there was a show cause for him to be hired. Auburn did that. And then they hired him.
Because Auburn doesn't care. They don't have the slogan, winning championships with integrity. That's why Rick Pitino has zero chance of coaching the Florida Gators. Now, if Rick Pitino had run a squeaky clean program, yeah, he'd be hired immediately. But Bruce Pearl would have no chance of coaching at Florida. It's no different than Hugh Freeze had no chance coming to Florida because he had a show calls and all that crap. I'm just telling you, go read about Bruce Pearl, okay?
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Whether or not you believe it, Auburn basketball is the big thing going right now.
That's not the argument.
But let me get to this. It brings the ends justify the means, don't they? I mean, look at where Auburn is and look where Florida is. If you're saying this guy was that filthy, like a Rick Pitino, which I think is a joke, then tell me why Auburn basketball is the talk of the SEC year in and year out.
Because Auburn doesn't care about what their coaches have done.
So now Auburn
it's no different than what LSU. LSU went about 5 or 6 years with Les Miles doing stuff and with Will Wade. And finally, they made a decision after 6 years.
They got rid of Joe Oliva, who was blowing the whistle on all of it. And you can say what you want about LSU as a school, but Joe Oliva took the fall for that. He's the one who got rid of Les Miles. He's the one who wanted to get rid of Will Wade, and they wouldn't let him. He was the athletic director that carried the water for that school. So now you're saying Auburn's corrupt as hell. And I mean, I don't know.
I do believe that.
Do you? You really do?
Bruce Pearl is like Jeff said. Jeff says Bruce Pearl is no different than Will Wade.
I would love you to get Stan White on this show and just flat out tell him what you just said. See how it goes.
I mean, okay, so you're going to sit here and you being an Alabama guy, you don't think what Auburn has done, going back to with the Cam Newton stuff, you don't think that they're corrupt at Auburn?
Look, I think you could throw darts at any school and find indiscretion. But I also think you can't just cast the whole entire university, its athletic department, everybody who works in there and says they're dirty because they got a guy who was caught by the NCAA many years ago doing a barbecue in the backyard and whatever else.
It was not just a barbecue, dude.
Well, all I can say is you're throwing a lot of darts out there at places that when you have those guys on this show, like Stan White and somebody, I'd love you to tell him that he graduated from a crappy, dirty school. But here at Florida, we're just squeaky ass clean. I want you to say that next time.
Because I have no problem. Because here's the thing. Auburn is documented. Florida was not squeaky clean for several years when they had certain coaches. I'm not sitting here talking about school and school. I'm talking about facts that have been proven.
Okay, great.
I mean, Bruce Pearl got fired not because of a damn barbecue, JC. They want you to believe that.
But they hired him, and he's done everything right at Auburn, and you're telling me he isn't.
We don't know if he's doing things right or not. He's winning games, and what I'm telling you is Auburn does not care what he does.
They would care now. They didn't care what he was at Tennessee, but they do care now.
JC, I got a million people Auburn has issues with football, basketball, softball. Pearl lied to the NCAA. Pearl could be look, I have no problem with Bruce Pearl. I think he's a hell of a basketball coach. But you are not going to sit here and try to tell me he runs a clean program.
Well, Auburn
the facts are the facts.
Look, Auburn doesn't need me to defend them. But I can't stand it when folks just throw rumors out there like this.
This is not a rumor, JC. Right. It's facts.
Well,
Go read the internet and see what he has been accused of.
Has Bruce Pearl broken rules at Auburn?
I mean, he's got some – I don't know the facts there, but I know that he's been called out by a bunch of coaches, and he was breaking rules when Chuck Person was on his staff.
Hey, you know what? You said you don't know the facts there. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, you know more than I do because you have all these coaches that you deal with.
But I'm not casting aspersions on teams that because of their past or some guy, what he did in the past. I mean, come on, you guys.
Their entire alumni base cheats. I mean, they've had so many problems at Auburn. I can't believe an Alabama guy's not sitting here saying Auburn does not have issues. I mean, you talked about it a couple of weeks ago when they were having issues with their football coach.
I talked to a lot of Auburn fans just the other day. I told them, I said, are you guys happy with the way things are going with your football program? They go, no, we've got the inmates running the asylum here.
Oh, bingo. Bingo, you just said it.
The school has to take control of that.
And they don't. They don't. Okay, before I let you go, I got to get your thoughts on this because we got to get to Scott Carter.
All right.
Kyrie Irving, who plays his home games at the Barclays Center,
ridiculous.
Went and sat in the stands and watched the Duke Blue Devils, but he's not allowed to play in a game in there. That makes no sense.
New York City got rid of one idiot at mayor, and they replaced him with a guy that's just I don't understand the thinking. I think he's trying, but I look, New York City's got a lot of problems. You talk about a place with a lot of problems, it's that.
Well, I don't understand how he can sit and watch a game, but he can't play in the game.
That's what I'm saying. There's no consistency in that town. It's crazy up there, but it doesn't make sense to me either. I think it's a ridiculous situation. But
John says we now know JC's truly War Eagle.
I think John.
And Joseph says JC is playing devil's advocate. There's no way he truly believes what he is saying. I mean, it's true. I mean, I can't. I'm in shock that you are even agreeing or disagreeing.
Here's what I will say, though. I will say that if Bruce Pearl wins the championship, Charles Barkley and the rest of them will celebrate him the same way they celebrate.
They celebrated him when he was when they went to the Final Four. They're going to celebrate no matter what. But I'm telling you, they were cheating when Chuck Person was on his staff the first 3 or 4 years. Nothing happened. Chuck Person took the fall. Now, what they were doing is legal now, paying players because they can pay them with Nike money and shoe money and all that. But just trust me. I think Bruce Pearl's a phenomenal basketball coach, but
we'll leave it at that.
The right way. I just want to leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. All right. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. All
right, JC, have a good day. Be careful. Cameron Smith is about 2 shots back.
Yeah, he was your pick. We got a couple picks of both of ours that are in the running. So tomorrow we'll be able to see who picked another winner on this broadcast here in golf. That's amazing. All
right, that's JC, the War Eagle, joining us on the Titan MR hotline. He is now going to be wearing Auburn gear next time you see him.
We're
going to take a timeout. We'll be right back with Scott Carter.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Bass Pro Shops, International Diamond Center, Prime and Pearl, the HBC's restaurant, Spurs Gridiron Grill, and now serving brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're now going to be joined by senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter, talking a little spring sports and looking for a new basketball coach. How you doing, Scott?
Doing well. Shane, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Before we get into Gators, I got 2 questions. Is Bruce Pearl a good basketball coach? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is Bruce Pearl, does he run a squeaky clean program?
No, not what I've heard.
That's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know. We just had an argument with JC, who is an Alabama grad turned Auburn grad, I guess. So anyway, Gators, before we get into the spring sports, and obviously I've already given a shout out to Miles Holloway winning another national title. We'll talk about them in a minute. But boy, I had a feeling Mike was going to go somewhere this year. I thought it was going to be Ole Miss, though, because I really thought they were going to fire Kermit Davis. He was going to go home. The athletic director was his teammate at Ole Miss. His wife was a volleyball player there. But Georgia just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was one of those moves that you kind of, like you set up there, Shane. I think if you follow it closely, you knew something was going to happen. You didn't know exactly how it would play out. Did I have him going to Georgia, 3 days after the tournament ended, or that their stay in the SEC tournament ended? No. There had been as we like to say, there'd been some whispers about Georgia that they had interest in him, but you kind of just, all right, there's a lot of whispers out there, as they say. But man, one of those moves you just don't see very often between Florida and Georgia. I mean, Mike White, he was in a tough spot here, did some really good things at Florida, but I think he sensed the tone around the program and a segment of this fan base. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist if you were in that building some this year. The atmosphere there left something to be desired compared to, I think, what we're familiar with. That just spoke to maybe some of the apathy or whatever you want to call it toward the program in recent years. And so he's going to get another chance at Georgia. I think it's a really good situation the way it played out, because I think Mike White's a very good coach. I think he can do some good things at Georgia. I think for Florida, there's a lot of questions about if this did come about, what would they do with him? There was going to be a significant buyout there if they made a move. So they avoided that. And Georgia even threw him a few bucks to make this deal happen. And then, of course, Georgia is a program that, they've really struggled in basketball. So Mike White gets a clean slate up there. I mean, they went 6-26 this year, Shane. So if Gator fans think the Gators struggled this year, well, they should have been Georgia fans at Stegman Coliseum. So he's got a clean slate. But yeah, it's one of those moves. Reminded me a little bit about way back in the day before my time, but I've read about when Doug Dickey left Tennessee to take over the Gators, and they played in the Gator Bowl. It's like there's a lot of storylines around this. So next year when the Gators and Bulldogs playing basketball, you can bet a lot of storylines, a lot of interest in those games, Shane.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting. Okay, so we've heard different people, the Scott Drews, the Murray State coach. I've told people here on the Facebook Live that have sent stuff today, there is no way we have a better chance of winning the lottery than Rick Pitino coaching the Gators. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, if that happened, that would be as big of a shock as anything I've seen in college athletics in my time around it. And, Pitino obviously has done great things in his career. He's at the end of his career. He's also got a lot of baggage. Sure, he has a connection to Billy Donovan, has a connection to the SEC at Kentucky and what he did there, but I just don't see that happening. I see it's an interesting situation because, everybody's going to say Scott Drew at the start is the lead guy, a guy who may consider Florida. I mean, I don't know. That's maybe a long shot. I don't know. But there's a lot of people out there in college basketball who there's a lot of coaches, who maybe we haven't heard about. Scott Strickland, as he proved with Billy Napier. I mean, he'll go off the beaten path. So we're going to get to see that again play out in the men's basketball program. And I couldn't sit here and tell you this morning, Shane, who's a front runner. I don't know if there is a front runner. If there is, Scott Strickland's probably the only one at this point who knows that. But I do know that it's a really good job. I know that you can win at Florida at the highest level. The Gators are still the last program to win back-to-back national championships. So I think it's going to be an attractive job. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it. But yeah, I don't know. You going to put your name in for it?
Nope. I don't have anything to do with it, Scott. And the other name you can cross off is Billy Donovan. There's no way he would come back and have to recruit when he's enjoying the NBA. I don't think we'll get a Scott Drew. I think if Scott Drew leaves Baylor, I think there's one school in the SEC he goes to, and I think it's LSU. For whatever reason, is it Scott Woodward, the new AD at LSU? He went to Baylor and took Kim Mulkey, who is one of the greatest women's basketball coaches, away from them. I could see him doing that with Scott Drew. I don't see him coming here. I think you're going to get a up-and-comer type guy, was the Murray State coach or whatever. Daniel says, what about Jerry Stackhouse? I would not have a problem. I think Jerry Stackhouse can coach. I really do. Dan says, are there any chances of upgrades to the O'Connell Center? They just did that, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, they renovated the whole place back in 2016 or renamed it Exact Tech Arena at O'Connell Center. I mean, these buildings are always undergoing little tweaks here and there, but I don't know of any massive overhaul that's needed right now.
Yeah, no, that's not going to I think it's pretty nice compared to what it used to be, for sure.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see, but it was. I wish Mike White a lot of luck up there. I think he runs a good program. I think he's a good coach. Just things didn't work out here, and sometimes change of scenery. I think it's a good move for both schools, quite honestly. All right, let's talk real quick about Mass Holloway winning his 10th national title in women's track and field. Track and field is another one of those sports. It's kind of hard to understand. It's all about points, where you place in certain events. But boy, he can coach some track now.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done at Florida really in the last decade is amazing. 10 national championships now, and 9 of those, Shane, had been the men, and the women had knocked at the door some during that period, but they'd never been able to bust through it. And they've got a team that finally was able to do that, led by, Jasmine Moore in the jumps. And coincidentally, she transferred to Florida this year from Georgia, where she was SEC Freshman of the Year. So a lot of Bulldogs, Gators interaction going on right now, Shane. But Jasmine Moore had a huge performance, Anna Hall, and, it was enough to finally break through for this Gators team at the NCAA Indoor. And now the exciting thing is they get to really now go back and do it again in the outdoor season, which is the one that gets even more attention and challenges. So the men and women are both going to be in the outdoor season as well. But yeah, Mouse Holloway, what can you say about the guy, man? He is right now at the top of his game, and those national championship trophies over at the Limerand Center, I think they proved that.
Yeah, no question. I don't know what made me think of this. Scott, do they consider in basketball the regular season champ or the tournament champ as the SEC champion?
I think now it's the final book is the tournament champion.
Really?
But I mean, I know they make notation of obviously the regular season champion as well, which I've always thought the tournament champion. Don't get me wrong, that's important, but I've always thought the regular season championships actually mean more. So, but yeah, when you're saying, because I know last week, down in Tampa, they presented Auburn with the SEC regular season championship trophy, had a ceremony on the court. And of course, you saw what happened yesterday after the championship game. So, a lot of intriguing hoops. It's going to be fun March Madness, Shane, even though the Gators are headed to the NIT. I mean, this is always one of my favorite times of year.
It really is. Also, the women, they're a 10 seed, going to play UCF, the 7 seed. I know they're excited. You got any insight on UCF? I mean, is this a good matchup for us or a bad matchup? I know Kiki's not going to be playing.
Yeah.
What did they ever say what actually happened to her?
I mean, they never officially released. I mean, it's a knee injury. I don't know if it's a torn ACL or how significant it is, but it's pretty. You don't have to be a doctor to see what happened on that play. But yeah, she's out. She's gonna have. I don't know if she's had surgery or anything yet. They usually have to wait for a few days for swelling and to get a better picture in there to see exactly the extent of the damage. But she'll be a biggest cheerleader, Shane. But yeah, I'll be going up with them to Stores, Connecticut, as they play UCF. hey, we'll see. I mean, it's not probably the ideal matchup for them. I mean, UCF's a 7th seed, a good team. It's a state matchup, obviously, up in Connecticut. So they're going to have to get really good play from people like Nina Rickards and Zippy Broughton and some of the players we saw come up in those couple of games after Kiki got hurt. But, there was a lot of excitement around the program this year. Kelly Ray Finley did a tremendous job. And you hate to see that it kind of ends this way. I mean, without Kiki, because they're gonna, with UCF's, I think a game they can certainly compete and win. But then the second round game, you got Connecticut up in their home court. If they, get past Mercer, which if they don't, that would be the biggest story up in Connecticut by far. So they're gonna have to face UConn. So you're looking at probably a short trip to the NCAA tournament. But hey, they've done some impressive things this year. You can never count them out until they play it. But either way, really good season. Just good to see the Gators women's basketball program back into March Madness.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, baseball wins 2 out of 3 against Seton Hall. They play tomorrow night against FSU. Softball goes for the series tonight. It's tied 1-1 against Mississippi State. Baseball, big series. I mean, not series, but a big game tomorrow night against FSU.
Yeah, last warm up before they start SEC play, Shane, and it's always a big one when you got FSU in town. I expect Florida Ballpark to be packed, and this is a Gators team that's really 13-4 as they enter this game. Yesterday, they lost to Seton Hall, which was disappointing. Kevin O'Sullivan was very disappointing in some just the energy and the overall performance yesterday's game. But, it's one game. I think they'll be fired up, obviously, against FSU. And he spent, these first 4 weekends really trying to get a gauge on this team and finding guys in positions and roles. And I think this team offensively looks like they're going to be fine. They're really hitting the ball well. They're going to face some tougher pitching, obviously, coming up. But I think if there's a concern right now, it's the number 3 starter behind Barco, and it looks like Brandon Sproats worked some things out. Then, of course, the bullpen. You got a couple of guys throwing the ball well in the bullpen, but you're going to have to find some other pieces down there. So, but long season, excited always when they play Florida State. So I'm looking forward to see the atmosphere out there tomorrow night.
Should be a good one. Last thing before we let you go, Scott. Are you going to be like the kid before the first game of T-ball where you sleep with your glove, but you're going to be sleeping with your football helmet? Spring practice starts tomorrow. That's
right, man. I don't know, Shane. I'll think about that. I doubt it, but it is fun. Spring football is one of those things. It's always more intriguing in a year like this because there are so many question marks. Let's go ahead and just circle the biggest one on the sheet, the quarterback. What's that going to look like compared to now in a month when the orange and blue game? Is Anthony Richardson, is he going to be healthy enough and consistent enough to be that guy? Is Jack Miller going to surprise a lot of us and take the position? What in the heck is Emory Jones going to do? Is he even going to be here come fall? So we have all these questions. We're not really going to have all the answers even at the end of spring, but it's good to get an idea of who may be emerging. And it's just really, for me, it's just a chance to get to see the new staff and the new players in action. And it's always exciting to see how they might fit in. So big month for the Gators football program, huh?
Yep, I'm excited. I'm actually going to go out there tomorrow and check it out and see what it's all about. I do know they're doing like a walkthrough of kind of practice today just because nobody on the team knows how practice is going to be run.
That's right. I mean, really, everything's brand new, man. And there's so many new people and just basic logistics to work out. And then, of course, by the time fall camp starts, I don't know exact timetable on the new facility, but it's going to be a lot closer to being done than it is now. So we may see some tweaks even by fall compared to what we're going to see right now in spring. So a lot of excitement around the program, and more than anything, just hey, they haven't had a spring game in 3 years, Shane. So it'll be a chance in April to actually go and get inside the swamp and see a little bit of football.
Yep. Well, Scott, good stuff as always, buddy. Enjoy the baseball game tomorrow night. Have a good trip up. Bundle up. I'm sure it's going to be snowing up there for you up in Connecticut.
That's right, man. Going to have to take a toboggan or something, I guess.
All right. That's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. We're going to take our final timeout, come back and wrap it up.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for, member FDIC. Don't forget, folks, if you need insurance, go check out Ruse Ogre State Farm. They offer the essential needs of auto, home, life, and health insurance. Visit them at ogreinsurance.com, 352-240-1779. Before we get out of here, this day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. You can check them out. Give them a call at 352-376-2366. In 2017, the world's oldest golf club, Muirfield in Scotland, I've played there, votes to admit women as members for the first time in 273 years. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. John asked, QB, do you like Cinderella stories for the top matchups in the tournament? I like it both, man. We'll talk more about it. If you want to get into our contest, we're going to be giving away prizes. If you go on the ESPN bracket and you search for Pot Up with Shane, it should show up and you can be able to do a bracket challenge. So if not, we'll have our staff post it for tomorrow. But anyway, hope you enjoyed today's program. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. We'll see you tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.